last year, some people had made the observation that, bootstrapping is an enormously powerful and important part of entrepreneurship. It would be great if you guys would do an event dedicated to that. Bill and I had lunch last fall, and I was just blown away with his insights about A, why bootstrapping has made sense for his companies, as well as B, some of his insights about growing companies. And so it's really a pleasure to have him here. For those of you who don't know Bill, he is truly an entrepreneur going back to his high school days, throughout college. Has been involved really throughout his life with entrepreneurship, had a very big success with a company called Reg Online, and then got involved with companies as an investor. Did not find that as satisfying and meaningful as he would have liked, and so he shifted the model as any good entrepreneur would, and has developed something called the Felix Fund, where he works very closely in an angel investor capacity, but especially as an advisor and a facilitator of sharing of information across 4 companies in the area, many of which you probably know: Survey Gizmo, Snap Engage, former Techstars company, Sticker Giant, as well as Poster Brain are involved with that. Please help me welcome Bill Fleck.
The number one reason why I became an entrepreneur for me was freedom. One of the things I learned from my family, my father, my uncle, grandparents, who all had owned their own businesses, was if I could be of value to people and continually look to see how I can be of value in whatever business I am, then eventually I'll be successful if I just follow that. I had no idea that I had options to go out and raise money for my first, for any of my businesses, frankly. And it wasn't until after I was really successful, that I said, wow, I'm glad that that option didn't present itself to me, because I realized the huge benefits that I got from bootstrapping. And I want to share some of those with you, and so I think my company is really successful. So all 4 companies that Brad mentioned that I'm involved with now, they all bootstrapped with the same premise, which is they had people, customers, that wanted something they couldn't really get somewhere else, and those entrepreneurs, those founders, created that for a customer. So they had a customer before they even started their businesses, and that's how I started my first businesses. The thing that, starting from that premise, that creates a safe place, which is different from now what I'm seeing with a lot of entrepreneurs who are given money or have investors that are investing in their idea, and their idea is something that they think people will want and will need and willing to pay for. But I find that the time frame for them really discovering the truth on that is extended much longer. And the problem is that it gets extended and the money either keeps getting re-raised or it runs out, and in the end you don't have a successful, sustainable business. So the second thing for me was, believe it or not, it's kind of an oxymoron, I'm risk averse, and I don't like things failing. In fact, I've been known to say I hate startups, which is kind of like, for an entrepreneur, like, how could you say that? And the reason is because there's so much failure in most startups, because the one premise, do I have customers who are willing to pay for the value that I deliver, who want what I have and are willing to pay for it? And so, it comes back to, we're talking about source of funding. The best source of funds, and I've heard this put by Seth Levine from the Foundry Group, and I love that he said this. So the best source of funds are your customers. And the truth is, we don't really have businesses unless we have customers and paying customers. Having the customers be your source of how you're going to grow your company. So from there, we were forced, because we had very little dollars, to figure out what extra dollar that we spend will produce an extra dollar of value for our customers. And that extra dollar of value has to be defined, whether it's of value by the customer. And so there are certain aspects of that. For example, in Reg Online, my partner had literally bootstrapped it, moonlighting out of his basement with a daytime job, built the registration software, online registration for conferences and events, found, originally had one customer that he built it for, expanded it out, offered it to more customers, they bought it, and as soon as he had enough money, he quit his job, and as soon as his customers were paying him enough money, he hired his first developer, and then he hired his first support person. But it was always staged with how he was able to provide value to a growing number of customers. And one of the examples, when I got involved with Reg Online, it was a handful of employees, about $1 million in revenue, and just starting to be profitable. And I looked at where dollars were being spent. So there was probably about, I think about $50,000 a year being spent on advertising in meeting and event magazines that event planners would read. Perfect place to advertise. Because it was a website, we were able to ask customers where they found out about us. We were able to track, did they find us through an ad. And what I discovered was it was sort of inconclusive whether the ad was really worth it or not. At the same time, we had a customer service, one customer service person who was being worked ragged and couldn't barely get back to people, let alone in 1 day, but 2 days. And so, the first thing I looked at was, can we provide more value to customers by having more customer service representatives? So we cut the ad budget, we hired 2 more customer support reps, and lo and behold, our customer satisfaction went up and our referral rate went up. Each step of the way in each one of my businesses that I'm involved with, I ask that question: is this dollar returning a dollar value? Now, we could say, for example, we're advertisers. We advertise, we spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year advertising on Google, for example. And, but we are able to know that customers are able to find us, buy our product, and we're able to do it profitably because of the direct correlation there. If we don't know, there's a lot of dollars spent. I mean, sometimes those dollars are spent on extra people in our organization where we think they're going to make a difference. We think they're going to bring on the next big partnership. We think they're going to be able to do things for our business. And they come in, they start working, we like them, they get along with the team, we're building and growing a team, we really want to have a great culture, and we forget to ask, are they really adding value to our customers? The other example was, one of our biggest competitors at Reg Online was a company that was spending a lot of money on advertising. In addition to that, they were spending a lot of money on highly commissioned salespeople. The best way to know whether you're delivering value is to ask your customers, or listen to them. And so we would have prospects who would become new customers, we would talk to them and ask them, why did you decide to use Reg Online? And they said, to be honest with you, your salespeople were a lot nicer and a lot less pushy than your competitor. And I said, all right, well, that's interesting. My salespeople are commissioned too. And I started doing the math in my head about how some of our salespeople act like commissioned salespeople. Does anyone know when they're talking to a commissioned salesperson here? Well, it's more common than not that you know that that the person is on commissions. And so I wanted to, as we heard enough of that feedback from our prospects and customers, I decided to eliminate our commissioned sales force, or at least the commissions, not the sales force. And so we were ended up paying, our salespeople probably half as much in the end, but they were more effective. Why? Because they could deliver more value than the commissioned salesperson. And I often say, over the years as I bought cars, I've bought despite the salesperson that's helping me. And a similar story of we bought, we had 30 people at Reg Online, and it was time to switch from our homegrown CRM system to use Salesforce. And I was going to buy Salesforce. I was ready to do it, but the salesperson, and I was probably going to do it in the next month or so. But the salesperson was so motivated by getting it into the end of the quarter, he ended up giving us 30% off.
Another point, go for it. If not, we'll take a few questions. We'll transition.